Hello, this is Staff Sergeant Huntley, and I'm currently making another podcast here for you for the Combat Medic Mentorship Program. This is not an official Army media production. The opinions expressed are solely those of myself and not of the U.S. Army. Also, this production is not meant for public distribution. It is educational purposes only for those of Task Force Black Lion and follow-on units. So this is for the Combat Medic Mentorship Program, and it's a guide for class creation and revision. And I believe this is going to be a multi-part series, so I'm going to call this Part 1. So when it comes to class creation, a couple of objectives. The first is to understand the overall mission of the Combat Medic Mentorship Program and how each class fits into that mission. Next is to understand the importance of clear and well-organized objectives and how they're going to help out when it comes to the rest of that class. Really sets the tone. The last one for this part is understanding how to perform research and to use references effectively. Making sure that we're not overly padding what's going on. That ends up being a problem. Now, in my recent research and voyage of discovery, one of the things that I have discovered is TRADOC PAM 350-70-1. And something I found in there was a quote that I think is very interesting. Quote, "This pamphlet is directed at developers, contractors, commissioned officers, and senior non-commissioned officers, NCOs, E7 to E9, who design and develop products to support unit training. This pamphlet provides how-to guidance for the generating force to create and revise unit training products for use by the operational force." Now, I'm not sure if you caught that, but senior non-commissioned officers, now E7 to E9. So those of us who are E6 and below, hey, congratulations, we're working above our pay grade. So in here, we've got references for this. I'm using TRADOC PAM 350-70-1. Other bits of reference to go across is the regulation that it parallels. FM 7-0, Train to Win in a Complex World. This one is one that I've used in the past, but it has a very recent update. It's got a 5 October 2016 update. This kind of goes along with Medcom, that is Medcom Reg 40-50, which was updated in November 2016. So that's a very recent update for those of us who are here on this mobilization. So keep that in mind that these materials are updated constantly. Now, moving forward into the mission of CMMP, we're to provide instruction in specific areas of medicine that is tailored to the mission of deploying units so that they can achieve maximum success. This is accomplished by classes and practical exercises that are based on current doctrine and designed to improve outcomes for patients. It's a good place to start. And again, everything needs to come back to this mission that we're on. Key items is that it needs to be based in doctrine, that is recent, and it needs to be relevant to their mission. So getting into those tasks is that we need to identify relevant and treatable conditions, now medical conditions, and develop classes and exercises that inform on the relevant background for those conditions and effective treatments. Now, when it comes to defining our objectives, they need to support that mission of CMMP. We need to make sure that they are clearly stated, that they are relevant and focused, as well as organized. So every time we put up an objective, now for one of our classes, now, dare I say it, terminal learning objective? As an aside on that, I prefer to use just the term objectives for now. TLOs are very specific items and need to be very specifically worded. The Combat Medic Mentorship Program at this time, at the date of this recording, 24 June 2017, is not an accredited class by AMED. To make it an accredited class, it needs to have clearly defined TLOs and ELOs, enabling learning objectives. At this point in time, that might actually be somewhat counterproductive for us to go into that much depth. It's something that we do need to think about going into the future and be ready to adapt and grow into. So again, all of our objectives need to go back and support that mission. We need to clearly state them in almost the fewest words that we can that gets that message across. It needs to be relevant. And when I say relevant, it means that it needs to be focused on those actionable details. What we state in our classes needs to be something that will affect the practice of those medics, something that they can immediately take and use, or information that directly supports the knowledge base for the implement of those skills and techniques. And it needs to be focused. One of the things that I've stated in one of my other classes, like for shock, is that you need to have a clearly defined goal for what you're doing when treating for shock. And that goal is not just you want them to live. Goal of them living is, well, that's not a goal, that's a mission. What are your items to, what are those tasks, what are those things that you are focusing on that is going to support that goal? Are you going to be delivering blood products? Now, which blood products are you going to deliver to help aid in homeostasis to get them out of shock, to get them to the next point that they need to be at, like in front of the surgeon or in front of the internist? So have clearly stated relevant and focused objectives for your classes. And the last one here is that they need to be organized. When you're going through and putting together that class, the way and the order in which those objectives are stated, you can actually have your objectives also be an agenda. I mean, why put up another slide with your agenda when you have your objectives already listed in order? It also helps organize your thoughts and organize those slides, organize those materials going forward. And as you're working on that class, you might find that other bits of information need to be stated first, need to be stated before. So go back and reorder those objectives. There's nothing keeping you from doing that if you find that a different order works better. The last item that I really want to speak to today is the use of references. Every piece of information that we present needs to be backed up by something U.S. Army doctrine. Now, that doctrine needs to be current. The Hextend sandwich used to be doctrine back in the day. It is not doctrine anymore. So you need to make sure that what you're referencing is the most up-to-date information, the most up-to-date references. Now, a lot of the classes that we use have references already there. These classes were developed by our predecessors, and now we're updating them and trying to use them ourselves. I'm trying to think of a very delicate way to put this other than don't trust anybody who came before us. we need to scrutinize every single reference that's in there. And I'm sure that everyone that came before us actually did an excellent job. But this is about maintaining the trust of our students, of those that we're mentoring, because going forward, if one of our references is off and somebody catches us, there went our credibility, first and foremost. Second, as I mentioned earlier, references get updated all the time. So we need to make sure that we are staying current. Part of the thing was one of the things that I do when I list references, I list the date of them. And go back and every once in a while, check to see, is there a more current version? When you're creating those slides, when you're creating those products, when you're creating these classes, have those references out. Be constantly going back to them. Now, there's going to be a lot more to cover as we go along in the future. We'll be talking about mission essential tasks and mission essential task lists, or METAL. We'll be talking about the more in depth about tailoring exactly to what we'll be instructing, but I believe this is a good start for now. Again, this is Staff Sergeant Huntley, and this was class on the Combat Medic Mentorship Program and the guide to class creation and revision, Part 1.